Album of the Month.
What is going on, YouTubeverse? John Stanek from Johnny Radio here, bringing you another Album of the Month, this time for March of 2021, and I'm so excited to be talking to you about one of my favorite bands, Kings of Leon, here on Kings of Leon Week at Johnny Radio. So psyched. They just released their 8th studio album, When You See Yourself, and it just literally came out an hour ago, so I've only had the pleasure of listening all the way through one time. So this is going to be kind of a first reaction review, but I will give my grade at the end because I feel like I've been around, I've been a fan of these guys since the beginning. I know their greatness, their goodness, and maybe not as good. And this album has a little bit of everything. But, you know, it kind of feels like the band has turned a page in a new direction a little bit on this album. And I'll get to that in a bit. But I'm going to start with the greatness. 100,000 people. For those of you who saw my review a few weeks back of that song, you know that I love it. I give it a 9 out of 10. It's beautiful. I think it's a great comeback song for the band. And to me, it is the highlight on the record. I think it's the strongest track on here. Not to say there's other great stuff. The other singles they released leading up to the album, The Bandit and Echoing, are also very strong. They're a bit more up-tempo and kind of have that familiar Kings of Leon sound as far as the guitars and the drums and, of course, Caleb's very recognizable vocals. But I wouldn't say they're as stellar as 100,000 People. And I feel like those songs, even though they are more up-tempo, they're not like the early albums that were just pure, unadulterated rock, like Youth and Young Manhood and Aha Shake Heartbreak. It has a bit more of the mature Kings of Leon, which came more on albums like Because of the Times and Only by the Night, when the band started incorporating some more atmospheric sound, some mood, and really slowing down the pace a bit, which is nice because it gives you a little bit of everything. And so this album definitely has a bit of that formula, though from what I said earlier, it does feel like they are maybe starting a bit of a new aspect of their career, because it feels a little more toned down on this album, where even those rockers are not strong, straight-ahead rockers. And then you have a lot more balladry on here, which I think is a great thing. I think the strongest tracks on the album are the ballads, like 100,000 People, like Supermarket is a really strong song, which if those of you who are following the band during quarantine, almost a year ago, they released a video of just Caleb alone on an acoustic guitar singing that song. And at the time, I think it was titled Going Nowhere. And it's still just as beautiful, just as powerful lyrically. But now the full band is there. Jared doing his melodic bass lines that he does so well. Really, I think Jared, can't say enough. I think I mentioned this on 100,000 People, where he was like really the MVP of that song. I would go as far as to say he's kind of the MVP of this album. His bass lines have never been more tasteful, never been more melodic. He really carries some of these songs, including the one that they just released a video for, Stormy Weather. It feels like his bass line is kind of the main instrument on that song, and everybody kind of follows along. Of course, Matthew's slide guitar is very nice, and it feels like he also, these guys are adults now, you know, and they're really, you can tell in their songwriting that they're not trying to just play over one another. They're just trying to all enhance the song for the sake of the song. And I think it's not more evident than the closing track, which is another highlight for me. Fairytale is just, it's so simple. It's just really two chords going back and forth. Kind of like some of the other great Kings of Leon songs like Arizona, a very simplistic song, but just so well performed, and Caleb's passionate vocal. Yeah, Fairytale is another one that's just the bass sounds so cool. The piano added in the mix. I have to give a shout out to Marcus Draves, the producer, who really did a phenomenal job on this album, as he does with so many other artists. But yeah, that's my initial take of this thing is, first of all, I am just so happy to have a Kings of Leon record. I mean, just from the opening notes, I was like, yes, I needed this, man. I can't believe it's been 5 years since their last album, which to me, Walls, it wasn't a bad record. It was a little bit of a letdown for me, though, because aside from the song Walls, there's not that many standout tracks on that album. I would say it's probably at the bottom of my list. This is definitely a very strong comeback, and I'm not sure at this point where I would rank it in their entire discography, but definitely higher than Walls, and somewhere in there. I would give this at this point a good 7.5 out of 10, so highly recommend. Of course, if you're a Kings of Leon fan, what are you waiting for? There's really some great stuff on here. And if you're not, just start at the beginning and listen to all 8 of their albums, because they truly are one of the greatest rock bands out there today. And in my humble opinion, of all time. So let me know in the comments below what you think of the record. What are some of your favorite tracks on here thus far? For me, if I had to pick 2 favorites, it would be 100,000 People and Fairytale, but a lot of great stuff in between. So thank you, Kings of Leon, and be sure to check out, I'm about to upload my top 5 Kings of Leon songs of all time, which was really hard to whittle down. So you'll see how that goes. But guys, we got top 5s every Friday, album reviews, top 100s, and so much more. So be sure to check out some other stuff. Thank you for watching. And as always, Viva La Vinyl. So guys, thanks so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, and be sure to ring the bell for notifications so you can always see great quality content like you're seeing on the screen right now. Thank you so much for supporting Johnny Radio, and I'll see you soon.